on the word atah. So it seems to be going through this again. This is the matbea bracha, really, and there's a change in it, and we're going to see this that is in this bracha she'asa nisim from the hadlik ner. There's a change in it slightly. So again, it's like the magic words. The word atah. He says mezivuk penimi the abba ve'ima. So now we're talking about, we know that there are Yehudim apparently that are Panimi and Hitzoni. And we've learned in other places that the Yehidi, the Panimi is the aspect that moves up. Now exactly what that means in our context, I don't know. The one thing I'm thinking that I should say is that I have confidence that the Rashash certainly does know what's going on here. It's my job to try to figure out, or my thinking is that what I want to do, try to figure out what he's saying. So he says, from that ziva, which is panimi, the abba ve'ima, yamshech asmab, it's going to cause v'chamisha chasadim ma'abba v'yasos, and here it is. This is the yichud panimi. So I try to make an explanation. Actually, his explanation is just that the Havai is on the inside. Exactly what, again, the implications of that, to try to darshan that, I'm not sure. And then you see on the right side here, we have Av and Ma, and on the left side we have Sag, and we have Ben. So that's the right side and the left side. I was thinking that I made a mistake yesterday, but I think we're going to get to it again. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. And then in the middle, then he says Chamisha Chasadim. So what does the Chamisha Chasadim mean? It actually means Das. It means the right side of Das. So what you're sending over is the Asmab, all of the Mochin, and in particular that is the Mochin of the right side, the Mochin of the left, I guess you would say, of that comes out of that Yichud, along with the 5 Chasadim. You're going down the right side. You're really bringing all of this, I guess, to a certain extent, down the Chachan side in a certain way. So he says it's coming out of a zivug benimi, the abba ve'ima. The abba ve'ima in this case could be chochma. Yamshech chasmab umechamisha chasadim the abba from abba and Yasis from that right side. And this is the side of Chochmah. Then you go down a little bit more, and in the drawing it says the Yisod of Benimi De'ima. Now it's going to go there to the Yisod of Benimi De'ima, V'Tavuna, to both of them together, Shabot, Teves, Netzach, and Hod. And he says that, and once again, there he shows the Kasa, Kana, and in the middle is going to be Kamag. So you have 4 mochin on the top going from the right, from the Abba side, the Abba Yaso side, and this is coming from the Ima and Tavuna side, and they're going to be alofim. So according to what he said previously, the Ekyas are going to be, I'm trying to get my words right now, the Ekyas are going to be a lavush for what's coming up there, I think. And this is continuous to flow downwards. Now in this, Misham Yamshech, Hakol the Malchus the Ima to the Vuna, this is where we ultimately want to have it wind up in the Malchus of the Ima to Vuna, Shabot, Teferes, Netzachod, Bechamisha Gavuros. So there you find the rest of the Sviros, and here's the 5 Gavuros. So you're working the left side, and then he shows the Mochin again on the Imadika side. He shows it Ekya, Kasa, and then again, it's the same lineup that's going further on down. We'll turn the page. In my book, it's turning the page. We're turning the page. And he says, Yukavi lahamshik mab da ab umeluyev. Again, this is what in nechi, together with nechi, the chaya, the ruach. So apparently, these are the first 2 elements, the Havaya and the Ekya and the Havaya, represent the Oros, and he describes them as the Nechi, the Chaya, the Ruach. Again, we've been working with, I just haven't seen enough of it to really understand what's going on. Just trying to analyze a little bit is that he keeps working with the concept of Ruach, or Ruach de Ruach, in a place where there was Ruach de Ruach de Ruach. This all has to do with Teves or Zeranpin. Exactly, that's all I can say about it. So you have the Ekya and Havaya represent the Or Makif, which I have questions about the use of that term, but that's what he says. And then the Havaya. So these two are the Oros, and then you're going to go to the count of 42. And you're going to have the Keser, which is going to be the Pashut, and the Chochmah is going to be Milui of Av, and then the Milui of the Milui, giving to you the 42. Now, my calculation is that, and I haven't seen the whole story, and today's going to be the last year on Hanukkah. It's going to go the Kochov, that which is the very top, the Chachan, the Chagat, the Ma U Ben the Ma the Zun. So let's just analyze the direction or the destination. It's going to go into the right line. Now, once again, we're talking about the parts of, he says that the parts of itself is called Chagat. And the Chagat is the right, the Ma and the Ben represents the right and the left, I guess the Mochin that are coming from the right or left. And we're also dealing with the Ma of Zun. That's where this is going, he says on the word Ato. You say the word Ato, and you're going to send all of these Oros, these Mochin, in their way, and into the Chasadim and the Gevuros, representing Das. So then they're going to go to the top of the right line of the parts of Kol Chagat, and in the male-female part of that right line, I guess, the Ma, the Zun, of the general right line of Zun. Okay, this is the best translation. Just, I think that it's not one of the greatest, but it's the best I got. So, let's see. Now we have something. I don't think I'm going to read everything down below. Maybe a little bit of it, but I'm not sure. Maybe the first one. Here we had, now we said Baruch Atah. Now we come to Hashem, and the light we're still generating light. And he says, and as he shows us on the side, as every shulav in the Sfardi Sidur has the same combination. But this here we're talking about Havaya Adni. And he says, like he had said previously, that the flow of these lights are what we're dealing with. These, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Goes in reverse order from what we saw previously. So when we said Havaya in the Hadlik, there we started off with Chesed. Here you start off with, on the first night, Leil Rishon, you have the Nikudos for Malchus. Then the second night you have the Nikudos for Yisod. The third night we have the Yisudas for Hod. We're going upwards, and the fourth night we have the Nikudos of Netzach. The fifth night we have the Kudos of Teferes, then the Kudos of Gevura, Kudos of Chesed, and it ends up with the Kudos of Bina, the Tseri, which is Bina. I know the first one has something a little bit in it that would be interesting. So he says, I'm talking about number Nun Vav now. Okay, and Nun Vav, he says, like I say, you don't have the same number system, but Leil Rishon is Yud Ke Vav Ke like this. B'laylacha Rishon, Mikuvana B'Shem Pavaya Shal Birchas Sha'asa Nisim, L'Shem Pavaya B'Nikud Malchus. This is how it starts out. It goes in reverse order of the Havaya that we said previously. So I'm not sure exactly what this means, the image that we're talking about. Just looking at it, you say the word Havaya, which represents a Yichud, and then he says that the Havaya itself changes every night. There are 4 changes, and they're moving up, so to speak. So exactly, we know the fire goes up, but I'm not sure exactly what that represents. Let me go back and read this number Nun Vav again. Is a Malayla Harishim Bekuvana B'Shem Chuvaya Al Shal Bircha Sha'asa Nisim. The Shem B'Vaya B'Niku de Malchus, V'Niku de Malchus, who is what? He is just a little word about this. Is a Shva Komets. Excuse me, Shah Komets Cholim Ba'osius Yako, on the first three letters. That's the combo. V'hu Nikrach B'Nikud Tzavakos. So why is it called by that name? The Fisha Shem Atzavakos B'Nukud, but the same Nikud B'Nikud Azem, which once again is, where is it? He said the Shem B'Vai B'Nikud Malchus. Okay, Zevarav Malchus Nikras Tzavakos. That's what he says. The rest is an explanation of what we saw up above. I think number Samach Gimel, there's also a Kaf Vav on this. So number Samach Gimel may have something in it. On the 8th day, you have everything is with its Tseri. So this represents Bina. You moved up into Bina. You moved from Malchus, you moved to Bina. Belel Shmini Bekuvanda B'Shem B'Vaya Shal Birchu Sha'asa Nisim. The Shem B'Vaya Kula B'Nikud Tseri. Shehu Nikud Shal Sfiras Bina. Okay, he doesn't have anything specific there, and the last part, some Samach Dalet says, the Zecher B'Kol Laila, that's every night we have the same thing. Mivayar Od Kavana B'Bircha Sha'asa Nisim, Ashaychas L'Kol Laila, so there's another bracha. There's something else over there. Let's look over here at number Kaf Vav, at the very, the Shefa, Rashash. The first word is Havaya. So he says in that word, of course, he said, B'Sidr Reb Shabsai Chosif Kam Kavana B'Kavin Hashem Havaya B'Milui Hein Gizeh, and then he shows it to us that the Havaya should also be written like that, indicating that we're talking about Malchus. In the Tamuna, the picture up above, and he shows you the Yichud. The Yichud is of course, with Malchus. But that's the common Yichud that we have. It's always with Malchus. So let's see what else he said. So he said, he says, V'tzarach Ian B'tamo Shal Davar, so exactly why it is, but there is, we see that in other Sidurim, you have a different combo. So now we said the word Havaya, and now we're going to examine just the next image. So, Yikavid Laham Shek Mab Dema. So once you've said that, and you've got this ball rolling now we understand that every night is a different Havaya. Yikavid Laham Shek Mab Dema Umiluyev, and so we're dealing with Ma here, and we're going to see the Mab Dema, also with its Milui. Im Nechi the Ruach. Here's that triple Ruach, which we saw previously in the other brach. This is the Matbea bracha, with a variation we saw on that name Havaya, at least in Pshat over there. So here we see at the top of the image is once again is the. It's interesting that it's split. So he says you have the Oros, and you have the Oros Makifim, the Orpanimi, and then you have the 42, and when you come out of the 42, which is the Pashat, the Mole, and the Mole, but of Ma this time, and then we have just the Miluyim of them, which I think is a Lavush. That's my thinking, but I don't know what it's doing there, other than it's a Lavush, so I need a definition someplace to tell me that the Milui is a Lavush for the Pashat. That's what kind of makes sense to me, but I don't know. I go by, if he says something specific about some aspect, then I try to remember it. So anyway, then where is this going? So we got this flow. We're saying the word of Avaya. We know that the Avayas change every night, but basically you're bringing Oros and you're bringing in this mob with a Lavush. That's all coming. Where's it going? It's going to the Koch of the Dati, the Chaga de Ma'u Ben de Zun. Nice little phrase. It's going to the very top of the middle line. And that's the reason why you see that the Oros up at the top are split, because the middle line is always split. So you're going from the Dati, the Chaga de Ma'u Ben, Again, dealing with Chagat. Previously, we were dealing with, I'm not sure. Well, let me just look back. We were dealing with Yamshek Masva V'chamish Chasadim. So previous was the Ma of the Av. So now let's see what we're going. This is the Ma. This is the Hamshek. Where am I? Lakacha the Dati the Chagat the Ma'u Ben the Zun. So of course you have once again we're dealing with Chagat. We're dealing with the middle line of Chagat. So therefore we see the ors are split. Then we're bringing in, as we said before, the mob, which is a what would we say, a leavening agent, brings everything up, levitation. So he says this is all going. It's going to the Chachav, to the middle line of the parts of Kol Chagat, and it's the Chagat. He always says this phrase here, Dema uben Dema. Uben, the ma uben to both ma uben. Now he's just saying that the ma has has two parts. It's the ma uben and the ma de ma. Let me see if I got this right. The ma de ben uben, the ma uben de ba, the ma uben de ben. So that's the complete flow. Lahotzi, and what happens as a result of bringing these lights in? He says, Lahotzi, for the purpose of bringing out base Salme HaMochim, two different Salme, I think he means base, which are base, two parts of the Salme HaMochim, Mimalchus de Ima Tevuna, for his coming from that, Lahamshicham al Gabi Makif Techaba Dechagat Deza, and bring him to the very top. He says the Makif is an ore, to the top of that ore. So we're going to be dealing with lights. These lights are going to be shining on the top of the head of Zeranpin. Now that's why we're dealing with the parts of Chagat, but I don't have enough perspective to really understand all of that, why we're dealing with the parts of the Chagat, but that is because it's Zeranpin. But again, I'm missing something here. So then after that, so now that you have all of this energy coming from up above, from Ima and Tevuna, and this is the Lakocho, then after you get them onto the top of the head, then you're going to bring, these are all oros, and you have the oros of Kasser, the Makif, and the Panimi, and then going all the way down the line. The middle line splits. The right line is the line that's going to go into, what do you call it? It's the Chaba, into the Chachma of the Chaba, that line, the Chachon line. The very far left is going to go into the Baga line, the Bina line. And the middle is going to be split, and it's going to go down to the Das line. So that's the flow of the light there, coming over to the next place. And this is where I made a mistake yesterday. Just don't remember. I don't write it out. I don't remember. So this keeps continuing on. And what we see here is now the Asmab. So we have now the light. I don't know if it flows in, or let's say he went to, it's going to transfer. The previous note said, V'achakach yamshichem levak dechaba dechagat. This is what is being mamshech, all these oros. Then going to the next page, then you have they appear, of whatever, or they are in fact this asmab, which is the mochin, along with the chamish chasadim and the chamish gevura. So we have the mochim on the right side and the mochin on the left side, and along with their das, which is the chamish chasadim and chamish gevuros. And then he shows, once again, this combination. I don't know, he has ma, on the other side he has ben. So these are mochim, I believe. This is all, everything up above it is being meluvish inside of these two. And then you have the kamag at the bottom of them, and all of this light is flowing. So in other words, the light of ma, the light of ben, we said previously, try to keep working that idea that Kana, which is an aspect of Ekya, is a lavush for the right side for Ma and Ben. And they're going to go now into this combination of letters, which has a gematria of 315. 315 is 5 times 63, 5 times Sag. And the actual gematrias of these are 452s. Now, 52 is the number of Ben, and so therefore, I guess it's dominated. What we're saying is all of this is going into Malchus. Now, the meaning of the 32, well, we have 32 at the very beginning, which is the flow of light into all of these things. 12, not sure that they're the combinations of, we have lots of 12s out there, of Avaya, and back into the 52s again. So if that has a significance, I'm not sure what it is, but if it has a significance, it's good to know. Let's look at the next part. He says, then Yekavin. So now you got all of this Oros into that, as I call it, Shilov. I don't know what it is. It's Yud K. It's a Milui. It's an unusual Milui, which is Yud K K and then a double Vav. This is the Milui of Ben. Okay. It's the Milui of Ben with the switch in the Vav Vav. Comes out to be 5 times 63, which we know there's a very strong relationship between Bina and 63 and Sag. That's all the analysis I have of that. Number Samachay is Yekavin Shilav Sag Elokim. Now look at this. Looking at this, he says that this is the way that we're going to be menakated. First of all, the Yud K, Vav K is a yichud of Sag. So remember that Sag and Ben are going strongly together here in that name that was up above. It's the best I can say about it. Here you have Miluyim on the Havaya itself. And it's the Milui, like I said, is Sag. But the other thing is that the Elokim has no Nikudos at all. Now, he says, Yekavin Shul of this. So he says, right at this point, have this Gavan in mind. Let's look at number Samachay. Try to get some help here. He says, Yekavin Shul of Sag Elokim, this idea. And he shows that this is what it is and what it looks like. He says, Hine Bebirchas Lahadlik, Haisa Gavanda B'Shem Bavaya the Yichud Av Kasa. Over there, we had the Havaya and the idea that we're going to make Av, that was a complete Miloi, and Kasa was a complete Miloi. In contrast to this, which has the Elokim is not in a Miloi, which I'm thinking is a stronger Elokim than in the Miloi. I'm thinking that. I don't know. In between, and stuck in between, or placed in between, the Havaya, which is Menukat. So over there was Avkasa. So he said, and this one, the Havaya is going to have a Milui of Sag. Makavan also, and then he shows you how you put them together. Now, I think there's another note on this, a number Kaf Zion. It has some arichas to it. And he says, Yekavin Shilav Sag Elokim. He says, Yud, and then he shows it once again with the Milui of Sag, but the Elokim is Pashut. So he says, Kavanas Zuchu Kazvach Marchu B'Shar Kavanas Al Pi Masha Matzach B'Kuntras Shal Echad HaChaverim. So this is not directly from the words of the Rav, but he found this. V'nizbayr Sham Sheyesh the Kavin L'Baya Zuchu B'Milui Sag. So that's what it's wrote in that Machberet. He says, Amnan B'Shem Elokim HaMeshula B'Mavaya Zu Lo Kasa L'Kavana B'Milui. It doesn't have it. So the Elokim doesn't have it. The Gavar Aranu. Let me see if I read that right. So Amnam B'Shem Elokim Ameshulav. Okay, it doesn't have a Milui. The Gavar Ad Noch B'Shefer Gavan Sham Man Nishtanem Ariyicha the Rishon Shebebirchas Shebebracha Rishona, which is Lahadlik. What's the difference between them? Shemekuvanim Begam as Shem Ekya Bimilui B'tzarach Iyun. So apparently there's a place where you do see that. Oh, you saw that in Lahadlik. They were both together, and they made the idea of regal, as we set up above. So he says in the Shar Kavanos, which is what we've been looking at before the Rashash, he says, so he's going to have same thing. So let me see. So he says, let me read again. Kosev the Nakev Hashem Havaya Hazeh, so the Havaya, B'nikud Elokem, with the Nikud that comes from Elokem. So I guess, so let me look back at it here for a minute. I have to go back to where it was. The Yud, so he says the Yud is A, and then the Hey Yud is O, and then and then you have an E, which would be from Elokim, I guess, Elokim. I'm just trying to look at it and see that he actually was manuked it at like Elokim exactly. I'm not sure, because it A, O, Kim, Im. So that's it. Those are the vowels. So he follows Elokim. So he said that's how you do that. Let me talk from the top again. He says, "Shemekuvanim gam as Hashem eki b'milui v'tzarach iyan." Okay, here we go. V'hinei Rabbi Shach kuvanis kosa the naked Hashem b'havaya hazeh b'nikud Elokim. It's telling you it's a strong Elokim here. It's an Elokim in the Pashut, and also the Menuka, the Nikudim are Menuka of the name Havaya, with also the Nikudis of Elokim. Kaven Shahu Meshulavim Shem Elokim. So since you're putting it together, he says that's the reason why you're putting it together with the name Elokim. So in other words, he's saying that the name Elokim is like sort of influencing the Havaya, or telling you a little pshat in the Havaya. But the kain kasvenu huhu v'kan b'nikud izeh. So therefore, this is the way they wrote it. Amnam yesh the sign b'sidur Rashash. Lo hatiku nikud zeh, but in the Shurs, he says there, I want to point out to you that in the Shurs of the Rashash, although we're looking at the Rashash here, he says, they don't have this nikud. V'sid the Reb Shabsai calls them the nikud zeh b'shem kuvay p'shuta. And there, they have the same thing, that is the nikud of Elokim, surrounded or interspersed in the Shilov with that is the Havaya nikud Elokim, but the Shilov of Elokim itself. V'shem sag shehevich v'sham cause v'chapelo nikud, and then they had also a sag over there and has no nikudim in it. A makor of Mishnah Chasidim, and that's this Mishnah's Chasidim, which I'm not really familiar with, but brings it. The cause of Yekavin ba sag v'chavaya b'nikud Elokim, you have the sag and the chavaya with the nikud Elokim. He says this is mavur, the mekavin shem havaya pashut b'nikud Elokim, v'shem sag below nikud, and the sag shouldn't have a nikud. The tzarach iyun. So there's a differentiation, or what's the right word? A diversion. V'tam Rashash the low cost of the nikud klal. So the reason that the Rashash didn't write this at all, he says, ulai lo samach al kavanazu. Why? Kavid the Maharchu Haviv Zez Muzulasa, because the Maharchu brought this from somebody else. Didn't hear this from the Rav himself. But it's hard to say that. So this the main part of this bracha Shas Nisim is the yichud of Havaya Elokim. Now this seems to be really, really important, but it's new to me. So we got into the Asa Nisim. He's saying that the yichud here is Havaya Elokim. The question is how do they work together in the Shilov? So you have some says it's Pashat and Pashat, with the Nikudim going in different direction, or it's going to be the Pashat of Elokim interspersed into the Chavaya, which is Menuka with Elokim, which we have in the first, in our drawing up above, our image up above. V'zos kasev v'marcho b'delay, But the Chasafa, the Kavin, so the additional idea here, the Kavin Shem B'Vayach Zeh B'Milu Sag, so that idea, they can actually put Sag in there. Harigam Hi Mekora B'Masha B'Tzitz B'Marchut B'Zulasa. So this whole thing is based on what the Marchut says. V'im Kain, so according to this, Lama Kavana, Lama Kavana Zu Hatiko B'Sidr V'Kavana Zu Lo Kasvuhu. So he says, V'im Kain, that's the case, Lama Kasvana Zeha Zu, Kavana Zu, okay, Lama Kavana Zu Hatiko B'Sidr. So why is it that one Kavana is used in the Sidr, V'Kavana Zu Lo Kasvuhu, but the other one they didn't? So he says like this, I have something underlined down below. He says, Ayin l'charav shemen salsam b'sifra pesachanayim, shetamba al kavanas yud gimel mekinin derachmim shel shmonas yimei Chanukah. So this is a different inyan, that we said that every one of the days of the we have a way to work out 13, giving the 13 mitos into each and every day. Al kavanas yud gimel mekinin derachmim shel shmonas yimei Chanukah. So why about that shaila? And he wrote like this, Vishal Yud Gimel Teves Bracha, also that. So he says, Makor Kavana Zu, Ain't B'Shar Kavanos. So there's a difference between Shar Kavanos, he said, Rak B'Sefer Pri Eitz Chaim. So he says that if a Kavana comes, I'm listening, that he's saying that if a Kavana comes from the Rav, it's coming from the Shar Kavanos. If the kavana is coming from the Sefer Pri Eitz Chaim, Shuhu Mekisvech HaChaverim, he says that's something we should know. That's where I highlighted that. So when we're speaking about other svarim besides that, we're also talking about kavanos, but they're coming from the Chaverim, he says. Lama Samach Alechem Rashash. So why should the Rashash, if it's not coming directly from the Marchul, so why should he rely on that? Even though he's already said in regards to himself, that Shalo Ayin that wasn't looked into at all, the Marchul is the only one that really went in and started looking at that. Ayin Sham B'Kamokain Yesh Tahoid, so the Hoyer, so they should point out here the Gam Kavanas Nikud the Shemus, and also the Kavana that had to do with the Nikudim that should go in the Shemos. Because Lila Nikud Acher, we have that was the previous part where we're talking about Avaya. Each night is going to have a different Nikud. All of that we just talked about, the order is all coming out of the Pri Eitz Chaim, which is the Chaverim. The Samach Alech Rashash, but one nonetheless, I don't know if it's nonetheless, but the Rashash relies on it. V'atikam b'siduru atachor v'tzarach in, and he put them in our siddur. So therefore, just giving a little background about the thing, about going back and getting a bird's eye view of the group with the Rashash. Now, I guess this is really the end of the line. That was the end of the line there, because tomorrow we're going to get back into the Sifra Tzniuta, which we haven't seen in a long time, and back to the night drashas. Number Samach Vav. Is that it? Okay, that's it. That is it for 5785 Chanukah, 5785, and God should bless us all in the year, a wonderful, wonderful year here as the light begins to get. We're right now in Capricorn. You and I are both Capricorns. So was Yaakov Cronenberg. So this is a time of the least amount of light that there is in the world for us, and we are seeking that light. Okay, thanks, Rabbi. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow, Kartkal Tuf.